Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. In today's lesson, we will discuss what is a noon sakina. A noon sakina is a noon letter that has a sukun symbol on it. Anytime we see a sukun symbol on a noon letter, we call it a noon sakina. For example, in Surah Quraysh, Ayah 4, Allah says, وَآمَنَهُم مِّنْ خَوْفٍ. In min, we see a sukun symbol on the letter noon. This noon with a sukun on it is called a noon sakina. In Surah Al-Jinn, Ayah 25, Allah says, قل إن أدري أقريب ما توعدون أم يجعل له ربي أمدا. In we see a sukun symbol on the letter noon. This noon with a sukun on it is called a noon sakina. Any noon letter that does not have a sukun symbol on it is not called a noon sakina. For example, in Surah An-Nasr, Ayah 3, Allah says, فَسَبِّحْ بِحَمْدِ رَبِّكَ وَاسْتَغْفِرْهُ إِنَّهُ كَانَ تَوَّابًا. In kana, we see a fatha or a zabr symbol on the letter noon instead of a sukun symbol. Therefore, this noon is not called a noon sakina. Also remember that a noon sakina only appears at the middle and at the end of a word. It never appears at the beginning of any word. For example, in Surah Al-Masad, Ayah 2, Allah says, ما أغنى عنه ماله وما كسب. In عنه, we see the noon sakina appearing at the middle of the word. In Surah Al-Qari'ah, Ayah 8, Allah says, وَأَمَّا مَنْ خَفَّتْ مَوَازِينُهُ. In man, we see the noon sakina appearing at the end of the word. An important point to remember is that in some masahif, the sukun symbol on the noon does not appear when the next letter is a letter of idgham or ikhfa. We will learn the rules of idgham and ikhfa in our future lessons insha'Allah. For example, let us compare the masahif that is now printed in Medina and the masahif that is now printed in Pakistan. In Surah Az-Zalzalah, Ayah 3, Allah says, وَقَالَ الْإِنسَانُ مَا لَهَا. As we see, the sukun symbol on the noon is not drawn in the Medina Mus'haf because the next letter seen is a letter of ikhfa. However, in the Pakistani Mus'haf, we see the sukun symbol on the noon is drawn, even though the next letter seen is a letter of ikhfa. We will learn the rules of ikhfa in our future lessons, insha'Allah. In the same surah, ayah 7 and 8, Allah says, فَمَن يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ خَيْرًا يَرَهُ وَمَن يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ شَرًّا يَرَهُ. As we see, the sukun symbol on the noon is not drawn in the Medina Mus'haf because the first letter of the next word is ya, and ya is a letter of idgham. However, in the Pakistani Mus'haf, we see the sukun symbol on the noon is drawn even though the first letter of the next word is ya, and ya is a letter of idgham. We will learn the rules of idgham in our future lessons, inshallah. As a result, it is important for us to remember that if we are reciting from a mushaf that does not draw the sukun symbol on the noon, if the next letter is a letter of idgham or ikhfa, it is still a noon sakina letter. So if you come across any noons in the Quran that does not have anything on it, do not be confused, but know that this noon is actually a noon sakina. And also know that both these ways, whether drawing a sukun symbol on the noon or not drawing it, if the next letter is a letter of idgham or ikhfa, is permissible, and none of the scholars have spoken against either of the ways. وَجَزَاكُمُ اللَّهُ خَيْرًا وَالسَّلَامُ عَلَيْكُمْ وَرَحْمَةُ اللَّهِ وَبَرَكَاتُهُ.